attempts by the Prime Minister to proclaim the death of socialism, our House believes that socialism is not in fact dead and it still exists. Though we can't deny the fact that socialism has been discredited by say, the failure of communism in Russia, as well as the failure of the old Labour Party in the 1970s and 80s, elements of socialism is still maintained by various parties and various governments. For example, one of the main principles of socialism is equality, mainly social equality and economic equality, and the increasing public knowledge of the activities of the rich. For example, the bank crisis which caused the recession has caused a lot of people to become disillusioned with capitalism and the principles of capitalism, and in fact we need to have control over the resources of the rich and those who control certain elements of the economy. This ties in with the principle of socialism, in that we need to control the wealth of the rich and make sure that wealth is evenly distributed. For instance, like the shape of taxes in Britain is shaped so that the more you earn, the more you pay in taxes. So you won't pay more just for a certain amount of money. So that means that wealth is more evenly distributed, so the rich are taxed more for what they earn. Moreover, in 2009, we saw the Royal Bank of Scotland go into financial crisis, and the government had to bail them out, which effectively meant that they had control over the banks, which ties in with the socialist idea that there should be no free markets and that government should have a tighter control over the economy. It seems a bit illogical to claim that socialism is dead, when in France, for example, Francois Hollande was recently a socialist was recently elected as president. Moreover, the Socialist Party formed a majority in government of over 300, and they are therefore going to introduce some socialist ideas and some socialist laws. So it just doesn't make sense to say that socialism as an ideological perspective is dead when it continues to thrive in other countries, though not widely. We're not saying it's widely thriving, but it's continuing to exist in countries like France. For example, Hollande proposed the idea of those who earn over €1 million in France would have to pay 75% in tax, which is a really big increase compared to what we have in Britain, for example. So that is a social idea which is taking form in France and tying in with the principles of socialism, which again is social equality and the economic control of the state. Moreover, the Prime Minister talked about how wealth is evenly distributed in Britain, which we can claim to be false. For example, recent cuts by the government, and also when we talk about socialism, we can't just talk about it on a government and a party level. We have to talk about socialism in a wider and a broader sense. For example, socialism is not just about economics, but it's about fraternity, it's about liberty, it's about people banding together. Moreover, the recent recession led to a lot of people, and particularly the Conservative government, talking about, we hear this a lot, we're talking about austerity and talking about having tighter control of public money and making sure we don't spend as much so that we can get more in. However, that happened 2 years ago and it's not working, and we haven't seen the economy reviving itself, and so it's led to a shift of people believing that yes, we need to have more public spending, which is the socialist idea of the government having more control over the economy and spreading more of its wealth in order to get more back, and which is also Keynesian idea of spending more money. So the more money you get, the more you'll spend because you have money in your pocket. so you'll spend more, and that means you'll give more